Hello and welcome into the Titan Dome here at Glenbrook South. You're watching Chicagoland High School Hoops on No Fans in the Stands TV. We're back at it after a one-week hiatus. Nick Magus here with Rick Malnati. Joining us once again is Joe Henriksen. Nice to have you back after
Joe's got
nice,
some big
call with
shoes to
Ronnie
fill. Joe's got some big shoes to fill.
I'm glad I missed a boring game, though.
Wow.
And this game has some big shoes to fill. It was a fun one. If you haven't seen it already, you've been living under a rock for the past week. It was on SportsCenter. It was on, every social media platform in the area, but that one's been covered extensively, and we have another good one for you this afternoon. This one, a rematch of Glenbrook South and Evanston. These two teams met less than 24 hours ago, and Glenbrook South got the best of the Wildcats last night. Let's take us through what happened that game.
Well, not even a rematch, just a yesterday. You go back to last year, Joe. They played 3 times last year. Glenbrook South got them early. Surprised, I think, you guys on the No Shot Clock podcast. I think all of a sudden they moved up in the rankings. Then later on the year, they went to Evanston. I think they were down 3 when a young Nick Martinelli, a sophomore, had gotten fouled, and he had 3 free throws with no time on the clock. I think he made his first 2 and missed his third, and they lost by 1. And then they saw each other in the sectional, and again, close game, came down to the wire. And last night, the same thing. Came down to the last couple minutes of the game when Glenbrook South got the win.
Everybody thinks of New Trier, Evanston as the rivalry in the north suburbs. And this one has developed in the last couple years, 2-3 years, of becoming kind of the game in the north, and it's particularly in the Central Suburban League South. Evanston, Glenbrook South. We get another matchup tonight, a rematch, obviously, of last night's game.
And then you come into the Titan Dome. I mean, driving up here today, similar to when in a smaller scale of what kids would see in Champaign on a normal year. Now that the state tournament got pushed back to Champaign away from Peoria, this is like a small model.
Unique arena, unique gym.
Do you like it?
I do. I like it with some fans in it, preferably. But, the weather's kind of turning nice finally. It kind of felt a little...
It felt like a state tournament-ish. I gotcha.
Yeah.
And then when we walked in the gym, no game prior to the game. It did give us a little state tournament feel. And this is for a lot. This game is for a lot. It's going to decide pretty much who's going to go to the Chipotle Class of Champions. That's going to be, right now probably 8 of the best teams in the state.
Yeah, the Central Suburban League champ is going to play in that postseason tournament. And right now, Glenbrook South is looking for the sweep. After last night's, some uncharacteristic things I think occurred last night. I start with Blake Peters.
Oh, my God. When is the last time Blake?
0 for 7.
That's not
from
Blake
3.
Peters.
One of the elite shooters, one of the all-time three-point shooters in state history, not just this year. We're talking one of the elite shooters who really struggled from the field. He still scored 20-plus points, but you're not going to get an 0 for 7 night. But Glenbrook South does make it challenging and difficult on closing out defensively on three-point shooters.
Well, one thing about Blake Peters, and he came into Evanston shooting as a freshman. He hasn't stopped shooting, but he's not scoring at the clip that he was scoring at last year, even his sophomore year. His scoring's a little bit down, and he's getting keyed on. Jalen Gibson is a big loss for Evanston. Maybe not their best player the past 3 years, but I tell you what, their most valuable player, because he was so versatile, and he, during COVID, decided to go to Texas, and that's been a gaping hole, at least, in the game I watched last night. That was a gaping hole for them.
I just think they've had so much balance over the years, and now it's kind of locked in on Blake Peters as the guy, as opposed to all that balance surrounding him.
All right, national anthem coming your way in a moment. We'll step out and be back with the rest of these starting lineups. You're watching No Fans in the Stands TV. right, so we touched on Peters as well as one of the departed players from Evanston Township. Who else from the starting lineup should we keep an eye on this afternoon?
Well, these names are so familiar, Joe. It seems like these guys have been around forever. Talk a little bit about Isaiah Holden, the point guard, 4-year guy.
Yeah, we got different brothers that have played through both these programs, and Holden's just got that difference-making speed, the ball in his hands. He's another scorer, creator, can be pesky defensively. He's just kind of in a long line of that type of player at Evanston.
Okay, Elijah Bull. So we know Isaiah Holden is Jaheim's younger brother. Who's Elijah Bull's older brother? This is a quiz for you right here.
Elijah Bull's older brother.
One of the best players in Niles North's history, a small little guard. Malachi Nix.
Malachi Nix.
Yep.
I did not know that.
So Elijah was a guy that went to Notre Dame originally, came back here and has played the last couple of years.
He's just he's a tough competitor, does a lot of the dirty work for them, fills the stat sheet, he rebounds well for his size, can defend, guard.
Rashawn Bost.
Another scorer. He's just a junior, he got a little taste last year. He showed some offensive potential, got some length to him. So it's a small, active Evanston team, but Glenbrook South's got some size.
And then they got a newcomer on the starting lineup, a kid that transferred in.
He provides the size. Ola is from Von Steuben, transferred in, raw, still coming along, battled some injuries. It'd be interesting to see how he can, it was going to be interesting to see what kind of impact he would make for Evanston this year.
Okay, and then we look at GBS with Cooper Nord guarding the ball right now.
Yeah, you got Cooper Nord and Nick Martinelli, just two guys that are combining for about 44, 45 points a game.
Only juniors.
Only juniors.
That Martinelli family has put quite a bunch of points on the board for Evanston Township the last 6 years.
Well, Glenbrook South really proud of their defense so far this season in the half court, coming up with a steal on the first possession right there and an easy bucket on the other end.
Yeah, Evanston does not want to play GBS in a half court game. They got to get out. They got to get their defense, create some offense, and they got to shoot the ball in better. What were they last night, Joe?
I think they were 2 of 16 from 3, and Glenbrook South has done that to opponents. They are allowing just 22% from three-point line over the course of the short, quick season so far. But they're going to contest shots. They're disciplined defensively. Phil Rolison does a great job, obviously, with implementing what he's done in a short time in his 3 years here.
And just walking in the gym and watching these guys warm up, the thing that caught me a little by surprise was the size of Glenbrook South. I mean, they're a little bit bigger than I thought they were going to be.
And that length. You can
He
see it right
needs this
there.
one.
You can see it right there. That's a contested shot. And it's just a run that Evanston and Blake Peters needs to end sooner than later because they need his scoring and his three-point shooting.
Well, I'm sure Coach Ellis is not happy that the first couple of possessions have turned into three-point shots with nobody going to the boards.
That was Drew Madem unloading a 3-ball for Glenbrook South. Now the other way is Holden.
That's the way Evanston wants to play. They got to penetrate and go to the boards, try and get second opportunities.
Exactly. They did not convert there, but that's what they need to do. They need to get on transition, create some opportunities for themselves a little bit easier than the half court.
Short jumper right there is good from Nick Martinelli.
Martinelli does not jump on his shot. He just keeps his feet on the floor and this is a Martinelli tradition. These guys got unbelievable touch around the rim. They don't miss.
And they release the ball so high over their heads that they can still get it over some bigger defenders.
Martinelli's growth as a player. Dom, his brother, was one of the all-time greats here at Glenbrook South. Put up massive numbers his whole career. And Nick's a little bit more of an upside guy as a younger age, not quite as dominant and productive as a sophomore as his brother was, but he's putting up numbers, big-time numbers this year. 23 points a game. He adds another 5-6 rebounds a game.
And, when we talk to you especially, we talk about upside. I think from everybody's vantage point here in Glenview that Dom did not get recruited. I mean, he was a Player of the Year candidate, still at State Illinois, and he's a walk-on at Northwestern. Had a little bit of a low major interest. But what do you think about his brother Nick? Nick's got a little bit more size than Dom.
Right. He's got a little bit more size. I think the big thing is, Rick, is he has a more natural position.
There it is. Martinelli going to the rack and getting a foul.
Well, it's Martinelli 6.
I mean, he's a legit 6'7", and a kid that, is versatile enough to play that 4 spot, where Don was that tweener a little bit. He's probably 6'4", 6'5". So he has just come on this year and really been impressive.
Well, this is where Evanston misses Jalen Gibson. Jalen Gibson would be guarding Nick Martinelli. Instead, they got Blake Peters, and Blake did a good job on him. He held him to 15, 16 points yesterday. Normally, that's going to keep you in the game and win games against Glenbrook South. Nobody else has contained him to 15 or 16.
Well, Blake is tough, physical, competitive. He's a warrior. Of all those attributes, he's as high of a level as you're going to find in the state of Illinois. But he's 6 foot.
Okay.
And you're guarding a 6'7" Martinelli. That's a tough matchup.
Well, we talked to Coach Ralston, who, by the way, is doing an unbelievable job here at Glenbrook South since he's gotten here. But we talked to him about these 3 guys, Matthew Rosenberger, Justin Lazinski, and Drew Madem, 3 starters. And we talked about these guys being seniors. One of them was the 9th guy on the team last year, Rosenberger. The other guy was the 10th guy on the team, Madem. Lazinski was a starter. He's been a 2-year starter. But these guys, and I think when you look at coaching, at least when I look at coaching, when you can get kids to play their role and just be great in their role, and I'll tell you what, from early returns, nobody does that like Glenbrook South's done that so far this year.
But that's a sign of a program. That's a sign of a program of player development, buying into roles, and Glenbrook South has done a fantastic job in a short amount of time under Ralston. Ralston obviously came from Geneva, where he had turned that program around, and now Glenbrook South is winning at a higher rate than they really ever have.
Martinelli's, the whole family doesn't miss free throws. I don't think the mother misses free throws. That's not a normal miss right there. They got to get to the rim.
So Martinelli couldn't convert the 3-point play, but still a 6-0 lead to start the game for Glenbrook South. 4:42 to play in the first quarter. And for Evanston, it's been turnovers and poor shot selection so far on that end of the floor.
They gotta get something going to the rim.
I mean, we're halfway in here and they're scoreless. That's Evanston that's scoreless. They put points on the board.
Adeboye with the turnaround jumper in the lane. That's good for the first 2 of the game.
And now they can get their defense on the full court. When you make a shot, all of a sudden you can pick up on the full court. Nord struggled yesterday, full court pressure.
Spinning inside is Matthew Rosenberger. He'll go to the free throw line.
Rosenberger, great first step there, great spin move, attacking the rim.
Well, what you like about Glenbrook South is you've got the 2 stars. You got the 2 guys that are putting up numbers, but then you go up and down. The next 4 or 5 guys, they're all capable of, they're not big productive guys, but they're all capable of doing their thing that they need to do in terms of, spacing the floor, becoming a threat. They've got 4 or 5 guys with multiple guys that can shoot the 3 ball.
Yeah, and they've shot it. We looked at some of their stats. They had like 8 guys with 6 or more. Now, Glenbrook South has played a lot of games, more than the normal high school team. But they got 7, 8 guys that got 5 3-pointers.
And while we're on that topic, the efficiency, Rick, most of those guys are, you go up and down. I mean, look at this. Martinelli, minimal attempts, but he's shooting 50%. Cooper Norris, 43%. Drew Mason's 35%. Rosenberger's 43%. Off the, Davis and Ballerini. You got all these guys that are capable of knocking a shot down that does spread that floor.
And this is what Nick does that impressed me. He handles the ball. Yesterday on the full court, he had the ball most of the time when they were struggling.
That's R.J. Davis missing from 3 off the bench. How about that rebound and pass? But it's lost on a missed shot right there.
Now they got to turn this into a basket. They got attack right there. They had them 3-on-2. They had numbers. They have quickness.
But that was very good transition defense by Glenbrook South.
Isaiah Holden setting up the offense for Evanston. Peters with the ball on the far wing. The half-court defense so far for Glenbrook South has been absolutely stifling. Working our way inside 3 minutes here in the first quarter. That's a pass inside. Bull passes it out to the corner.
Great
Good
job of
closeout right there.
recovering. Great job of recovering. They had him on skates, and they got right back in their face.
Peters will fire away. That's good.
You knew he wasn't going to go 2 days without shooting. I got a feeling he's going to get hot, Joe.
0 for 7 last night was Blake Peters, but he's 1 for 2 from 3 already so far this afternoon.
That's a lift for him. That's a lift for Evanston.
R.J. Davis in for Glenbrook South. Rodell Davis's son. Rodell, an unbelievable player in Chicago, went on to Iowa, coached at Chicago State, and a great guy.
How about that recovery right there from Ajiboye, chasing down Martinelli, getting the block from behind. The other way come the Wildcats, but a missed shot right there.
Holden didn't look confident on that jumper.
Well, they settled, very quickly there in that possession.
He can shoot it from there.
Deep 3 from Cooper Nord. That won't go. Another rebound by Martinelli. He doesn't have numbers, and they'll reset. Nord gets tied up going inside, and that's going to be a held ball called by the referee. Nord wanted a foul and didn't get it, so it'll be Titan basketball below their own hoop.
So they take a blue-collar guy out, they take out Lazinski, and they put in another blue-collar guy, Brown. What do you got with Nord, Joe? Where do you think he fits in the college prospect?
I think right now he's right on that Division II, low Division I bubble where he's trying to make his mark. I watched a lot of them this past fall with the Illinois Wolves. He done a nice job kind of just improving his stock, to be honest with you. Speaking of stock rising here, there's a couple of nice, impressive baskets here by
Ajiboye. Yeah. We got to give him a nickname because that's a hard name to pronounce, Joe. Ajiboye is more productive so far in the first quarter than he was the whole game yesterday. He's given them a big lift when they needed one.
2 blocks and a couple of buckets so far, but that's Martinelli knocking down.
For 3?
I thought his foot was on the line, but they're going to give him a triple.
on the line too.
So it's 10-7 now, 1 minute to play in the first quarter.
Martinelli has been fantastic so far.
Well, he's just shown a variety of all that he can do with basketball. There facing up, he's gotten to the rim, and he's altered shots on the defensive end with his length.
So Ajiboye comes out now. Prince Adams for the first time today, the sophomore with Division I potential, just trying to find his role off the bench.
Coach Ellis really high on this sophomore Prince Adams.
Ton of upside, high ceiling kid, got some length, size.
Adam has it on the low post. Gets his own rebound and gets a friendly roll. Prince Adams with his first 2 points of the game, right as we were talking about him.
That's got to help with sophomore's confidence. I don't know if they want him guarding Martinelli, though.
I think they're trying to get a little more size on Martinelli, get some of that length, athleticism.
I think they're going to hold for 1. I think they're going to pull it out and hold for 1. 25 seconds on the clock. They'll double team ball screens. That's the one thing I think Nord's got to do, Joe. He's got to be able to handle the ball a little bit better against pressure. He for sure shoots it at a Division I level, at a high Division I level.
Yeah, Glenbrook South has turned the ball over this year a little bit. If you look at the numbers, comparatively speaking, their turnover ratio is very similar to their opponents. It's the defensive side of the ball where their shot efficiency of opponents is where it's really been beneficial. Contesting shots and making it difficult.
Oh, Blake Peters with an unbelievable hustle play right there.
And it's crazy to think right now that Evanston's winning.
Exactly. Exactly.
That seems start, like 4 minutes of scoreless basketball, and they end up at 8 minutes up 1.
Okay, so this is the second time these guys have faced each other in 12 hours. They played last night, now they come back again and play. What is your thoughts on these back-to-back games? Because the Missouri Valley Conference is doing it, the Horizon League's doing it, and the Central Suburban League's doing it, and it makes perfect sense in the age of COVID to keep teams safe. You limit exposure. Yeah. But what's your thought?
I flip it back to you as the coach, but in terms of that preparation. But listening to the coaches talk about this, it's just so different and unique. And we've talked about it in previous broadcasts. It's not even like this back-to-back. It's even the game after game after game where you don't have practice time, preparation time. But when you got two, and I'm talking about two of the best coaches in Illinois, and Phil Ralston and Mike Ellis, for them not to have that opportunity, they probably did a walkthrough this morning, obviously, but to be able to make some adjustments on the fly, they usually have 4, 5, 6 weeks in between that matchup and the first time they play them in a normal season to make those adjustments.
Yeah, so for me, I was a preparation guy. I love to watch film. I love the second time we played people in conference. You feel like you got a chance to see them. You scout them ahead, but then you get a chance to see them. You learn some things in that first game, and you can make some adjustments. And there's just no time to make adjustments. There's not enough time to eat.
Well, and there's teams change over those 4, 5, 6 weeks. There's not much change from last night.
Okay, young Bob Costas, Nick Magus, take us through a couple plays. Let me and Joe relax.
Evanston with the basketball coming out of the break. Blake Peters, we've said his name a number of times already today. Got his first 3-ball earlier in the first quarter after going 0 for 7 from deep last night. Peters still scored something like 24 points, though, even though he wasn't able to connect from deep. And this time it's Hemphill off the bench, and he knocks it down.
Listen, that's Hemphill. Last night was only his second game with the team. He was out academically, I think, for a little bit. He's back, and he is a big part. If they can keep him on the court, he's just going to get more minutes, and he's just he's your typical Evanston player. Tough, shoots it, plays great defense.
I believe he transferred in a year ago, provided a little bit of a spark for them a year ago, that great run last season.
Martinelli was wide open, and that hits nothing but net.
Okay, Joe. Call some college coaches right now. Open up the floodgates. This kid can do, he's only a junior. His body's going to handle a lot more weight, and he can just score in so many different ways.
Yeah, I mean, if he's showing that he can consistently knock that shot down, I mean, that creates so much more for him going forward as a player and prospect.
Elijah Bull got a screen, got to the basket, gets his own rebound, and that's 2.
Now, he was 8 of 16 on the year from 3 in how many games? 10, 11 games?
Oh, great block right there by the sophomore Adams.
Adams hustling back on defense after it looked like Evanston was beat, and there's a 3-ball from Peters.
And this is the pace Evanston wants. They got to get this game going up and down. They do not want to play in the half court.
And you can just tell by that stop, pop, release, Peters is feeling it much more confident right now.
That ball's going the other way.
You're talking about one of the most prolific shooters in state history.
Yeah.
I mean, you aren't going to keep him, under wraps for continuously over back-to-back games. No way. He's just too good of a shooter. He's too smart. He moves exceptionally well without the ball, off of the ball.
And he shoots a college jump shot. I mean, he's got a quick release, and he can stop on a dime. Princeton got a steal, Joe. Who was on him?
Well, I think word got out that academics was such a high priority for Blake Peters. The higher level he was to go, the more of a specialist he became. I think he found a great fit, though. Academics, obviously, but he's going to be impactful, I think, at the Ivy League.
In and out for Peters. He almost got another one. Now Glenbrook South sets it up in the half court. This is where they run their offense best. Rosenberger going to the basket. That one was blocked. Evanston pushing it up ahead, and it's Elijah Bull all alone. Finishes at the rim and forces Ralston to call a timeout.
Great job by Prince Adams with the block, keeping it in play, looking ahead, and giving an easy basket. They didn't get many easy baskets last night.
Well, and as you just said, I mean, them getting out on the break in the open floor, that is going to generate so many more opportunities for this Evanston team that, as you said last night, they did not get and that they need to get.
Well, it's an 8-point game, and that's like Evanston can score in bursts. They didn't have, you talk about a game of momentum, basketball, a game of momentum. They did not have a burst last night. I mean, they snuck ahead by a couple points, but they never had a burst like they just showed just there.
The development of the Glenbrook South program, to me, though, is this isn't going to bother them.
No.
They've been in it now for 2 years with this group, and a large part of that group. Rick, this program went 12 years without winning 20 games. In the last 2 years, they're going to win over 50. And now or the last 2 they have. Now we come, this season, if they would have played it out, it would have been a third straight 20-plus win season for Glenbrook South.
Well, they still might get 20. He's got a lot of games on his schedule. Yeah. I talked to Coach about, the thought about scheduling so many games, and he thought that he needed to do that for his kids. It was only right to do. And, coaches have different philosophies on that. But it was all about the kids when he was talking about how many games he was scheduling.
And it's a cool opportunity here to play in this big game for them, because this program historically has not had many big games. They've never won a sectional in school history. You know who the first regional championship coach was at Glenbrook South?
Myers, look at that play by Peters. Just came from behind and stripped him, and then Martinelli just pins it.
A longtime college coach, Rob Judson.
Oh, Judd's my man.
Judd
Rocket head.
Talked to Judd the other night.
He's my guy. If there was a three-point line when he was playing, he still might be playing.
Judd up at Marquette now as
support staff. Fill it up. Head coach at Northern Illinois. Head coach or assistant at Bradley, right, for Molinari.
Yep.
Great guy. His dad, right? Wasn't his dad
part of Hebron, 1952?
Yeah, one of the Hoosier story. They need a good possession here. That's got to be their 4th or 5th block.
Yeah, at least. I think that might be close to 6 right there for Evanston. But you see, Martinelli was able to get to the basket right there because of that pump fake and because he's established himself as an outside shooter early. They've been over-respecting that outside jump shot, and he was able to get all the way to the rim there, but had his shot blocked, and we'll head to a masked timeout.
Hey, I don't know if our cameraman, Mike Moy, got that on film just there, but they might have caught one of the greatest coaches in the history of high school basketball, Chris Head, making that call, demonstrative call. He was saying, hey, we're getting a mass timeout because he needed a break. He's a little gassed over there. So I don't know if they're supposed to get mass timeouts every quarter, but with Chris on the game, looked a little winded, called a timeout. Do you remember his teams?
How intense was Chris Head and his teams?
Oh, my God. I'll tell you what. I always say when discipline and aggressiveness join together, you got a special team, and that's what his teams. They were aggressive and disciplined.
Like the old Nolan Richardson's 40 Minutes of Hell, Arkansas. I mean, that's what Westinghouse always reminded me of.
Similar in as far as stature, he didn't have big guys on his team, a little bit like Evanston's been in the past 3-4 years. But small guys that played big.
David Bailey, Martell Bailey, Cedric Banks.
Hey, brothers, didn't you just do something on brothers? And you gave somebody the best brothers.
I'm still taking the Christies over the Baileys.
I'll tell you what.
We got McDonald's
All-American. Maybe not in a street fight.
But no, Martell and David Bailey. Obviously, Chris Head won a state title with Westinghouse about 20 years ago.
Hey, a national title. He was probably coaching AAU illegally back then, but he won a national title with his team.
Yep.
He can do it, and he's one of the great officials. He keeps control of the game.
Part of one of the reasons the rules was put in place in AAU, where you can't have so many guys on a team that you're coaching.
I don't think my New Trier team ever beat that Westinghouse team. They were good.
So 4 3/4 minutes to the break, and still pausing the action on the floor.
Chris just getting his, he had need a little bit more time. He was talking to Coach Ralston a little bit, telling him what he needed to switch up defensively and offensively.
I don't know how many, you saw the game last night, Rick, how often they played their 2 guys with size together.
Not often.
But
not often.
Got that out there now, both giving them some ranginess, some length, and defensively. It's just kind of a different look.
Any ball screen, any handoff, Glenbrook South's going to double, and they're going to do it. Evanston's going to double, and they're going to do it aggressively. See if GBS can handle it.
And R.J. Davis missed a 3 earlier and just passed up a wide open shot right there. You got to wonder if
it's a sophomore,
Yeah, second guessing himself just a little bit, still trying to find his role with this team coming off the bench.
And you can see that run of theirs is now kind of add a little pep in their step on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, it's been a 23-7 run thus far for Evanston, and they've continued it through a couple of different breaks at the quarter and a couple timeouts.
This
and now
is
with
one of
3.5 minutes to play, a long possession going
Well,
right here for Glenbrook
This
South.
is one of those possessions where if you get a stop defensively, it jacks you up, and if you score offensively, it jacks you up. So this is big. These next 15, 20 seconds, how they handle this possession.
Bounce pass into the corner. It's Rosenberger from deep. That's good.
Rosenberger makes big plays for Glenbrook South. He's just a winner. He's just a winner. One of the biggest surprises, I think, of the year so far for Coach Ralston.
And he's that guy that you were talking about, 9th or 10th guy on the team last year for Coach Ralston, and he's starting this year, and he's playing really good basketball. One of 2 soccer players on this team, and you talked about his first step a few moments ago, and Coach Ralston really likes to have those soccer guys because of their quickness, their agility, and their ability to get to the basket.
Soccer and basketball. What a pretty unique combination, but it should go well together.
You'd think it would go better than it does, but you don't see too many soccer players on the basketball court.
Porter Mosier's got one over there, right, Joe, at Loyola? One of your top 10 players a couple of years ago.
National Soccer Player of the Year, Tom Welch from Naperville North.
6'7" goalie.
Yep.
A lot of dribbling that's going east and west and not north and south. You want to get that ball into the paint somehow. I might be in favor of the shot clock now, Joe.
Oh, there you go.
I might.
We got a few more telecasts to get Rick on board.
Well, we're thinking about making the end of the year tournament have a shot clock. What do you think, Joe? Should we do that?
You don't have to ask me.
You want it. You want it.
I'll hook the thing up.
Oh,
there's
my.
A 3 ball from Rashawn Bost, one of the first times we've said his name this afternoon.
Yeah, but you say that name Bost around Evanston, they know who you're talking about. There's been not only Coach Bost, but a lot of Bost. That Bost family's created a lot of wins over there in Evanston.
Bost getting a rebound and trying to go to the basket, kicks it out. Here's Prince Adams working his way
That's a
inside.
good
That's
move.
a great finish. Little scoop and score right there from Adams. And it's a 12-point lead now for Evanston with just under 2 minutes to play until halftime.
Evanston is a different team this last 7 minutes compared to what happened last night.
Well, tipped and out of bounds. It'll stay with the Titans.
You wonder just, the mental part of it. When you lose in January and come back in February and play a team, I'm just curious what the mental approach is the next day for the kids. Getting a shot, in a rematch the very next day. You don't have to wait weeks to get at it again. You get it the very next day.
Well, I'd like to know.
Is that a bigger advantage for Evanston or a bigger advantage for Glenbrook South?
Well, I think where the advantage really sets in, and that was a good take right there by Ballerini. I like when an Italian goes to his opposite hand like that. But I got to tell you, I think the one thing is, when's the last time Evanston's lost 2 games in a row, not alone just 2 conference games in a row? I mean, it hasn't happened, Joe, in the last, since Coach Ellis has been here.
Well, that's on the line right now. They've won 6 straight conference championships. And Mike Ellis, at the beginning of the year, talked with me in depth about just kind of the importance of this year and those goals and winning that 7th straight title. These seniors, like Blake Peters, they've only known winning the Central Suburban League South. And basically it ends it today if they were to drop this one because they'd be 2 games out.
There's a lot of pride over at Evanston.
Minute to play till the half. Evanston controls the basketball. Peters now rising up. That's good. Blake Peters is hot right now, and it's a 31-18 lead for Evanston. 53 seconds to play, and here comes Martinelli.
Oh, he almost tried to go for one of those steals again.
Rosenberger once again. That one's off
And
the back of the
Peters,
rim.
Peters doing it all, Joe. Uh-oh.
That was Ajiboye losing it on the way up. Coast to coast goes Martinelli and draws a foul.
That was a big basket right there.
That was a big turnaround right
exactly. There. I got a 4 or 5 point swing right there in a matter of seconds here in the final minute of the half. 33 seconds left, and Evanston had built that 13-point lead, and all of a sudden they were trying to go from 15. Now it's down to 10.
And I bet Evanston is going to be happy going into the locker room with 10, 12, 13-point lead. I bet they go for one here. It's a 10-point game, 33 seconds to go. And don't be surprised if the ball's in Blake Peters' hands with about 7 seconds to go, or that Holden creates something for him. What do we got, a blood timeout?
That's what it looks like. Holden's heading to the bench for reasons we don't really know. Back into the game comes Deshaun Hemphill.
Hemphill was big at the end of the first half yesterday. Hit a shot at the half to keep the game close. I think Evanston might even had a lead at halftime. But I got to think Peters is going to get this one.
So under 20 seconds to play.
He's on a count. Up.
Working our way down to 10. East-west dribbling from Elijah Bull. Bull gets a screen, and now here comes Peters. Peters has the basketball. Long three for him. Why not?
Count
Says Blake Peters, and that will send us to the locker room. 34-21 in favor of the Wildcats, and how about that for a finish to the half? You called it.
I got to tell you, I mean, I'm not a genius. I would have been tagging Peters like crazy. They're not letting him touch.
I mean, Peters was clearly the difference that entire first half.
Yeah,
I mean,
Peters against Martinelli as far as points go right now.
Yeah, but just the shots he's making, the daggers of those 3-point shots, and Blake Peters, I can't say enough about the career he's had
He's
up to this
unbelievable.
point. Just so tough, so competitive. All he's done is won for 4 straight years, and he's not gonna let this 7th straight title go by wayside.
Okay, we're gonna go to Tom Molitor right now, who's spinning the dials from Dot Productions. Again, we can live stream everything at Dot Productions. We'll live stream weddings. We'll live stream birthdays. We'll live stream your 4th grade kids' basketball game, Jack Rosinski might be teeing it up here in Glenview. We might have to get one of his games live if his dad will come up with a couple $1,000s to sponsor. And then our other sponsor, Lou Malnati's Pizzeria. You might as well start ordering right now for tonight. Get a deep dish, a couple cold beers, and have yourself an unbelievable Saturday night. But we're going to
And one more sponsor for today. We got one more.
Who?
Mike's Chili Parlor in
Mike's
Seattle, Washington.
Chili, 100-year anniversary. I should have my Mike's Chili Parlor hat.
Yeah, if you
Did
go
he send you some food or something? Take care of you over at Northwestern?
I don't know.
If
you go out
if we're giving Mike some pub, he better come up with some chili.
Yeah, it's some of the best chili in the world. So if you find yourself walking outside one day and wind up
in Seattle,
wind up at the corner of 15th and Ballard in Seattle, Washington, then
I'll
you
tell you
know
what.
where to go.
Those Greeks love the Greeks. They always are promoting the other Greeks. So we need to take a little time out. Do we got a commercial that we can buzz up there? Okay, we'll be back.
here at halftime from Glenbrook South. And our game from last week, it won't die as long as no fans in the stands TV is around. The legend will live on, and we need to at least touch on it for a little bit this afternoon. Coach Malnati, you got anything to say about it?
Well, I'm just, it has been the highlight of no fans in the stands TV. If we had our top 10, that would be on the top of the list. I think Notre Dame had another highlight last night. I think Troy D'Amico tipped
with a tip in
to beat your Bennett.
To beat my alma mater.
Wow.
And yeah, they referenced you a number of times in that ballgame. Watching that stream, they were talking about your shot clock opinions, and
really,
they were showing the Twitter reactions from the shot. Yeah, they're.
Well, we're going to take this. We're going to take this on the road, Nick.
Yeah,
we're going to take this on the road.
The Notre Dame media crew has been good to us in terms of publicity and giving us credit for stuff, and just being really supportive. We
got to tell Joe a little bit about what he missed. Like, he left us out in the cold. He was out doing his recruiting, watching 4 or 5 games.
I took abuse on Twitter.
You needed abuse, so you missed the game. We bring in some no-name named Ronnie Fields. So we talk about Ronnie Fields on the game. Ronnie, a legend in Chicago. Joe, you remember covering Ronnie?
That was year 1 of the City Suburban Hoops Report.
Was he player of the year?
Yeah, I believe he was the first player of the year.
Was first player of the year.
We're talking about a guy who, I'm sure you talked about it at length last weekend, but there's, there's certain guys that you don't think you're going to see again.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you see certain players like Ron. He was just electric.
Well, he was, he is a legend in Chicago. His story's an unbelievable story. We tried to talk about that a little bit and catch up. But you missed, not only a great game. That was a high-level game against 2 teams that are going to be in the end-of-the-year tournament, the Chipotle Clash of Champions. And then the game was looked out of hand, 7 points with about 48 seconds to go. Notre Dame turned it over a couple times. Kid from Fenwick drills a couple threes.
Well, and that's my biggest thing about the Lesman shot. Not to take anything away from how incredible that was, but the final minute of that game was awesome. And Geezer was unbelievable. And there were 3 possessions that led up to that. Not to mention Sales tying it up with that
unbelievable shot.
Falling layup. That final minute, there were a couple possessions from each team that would have made highlight reels in and of themselves. And Lesman's shot deservedly gets all the attention, but that was an awesome finish.
And I think if you're Fenwick, and talking to Coach Peck, you go back and look at that game, they lost that game at the end of quarters. They lost at the end of the first quarter, at the end of the halftime. But at the end of the game, that's not where they lost it. And we get a chance to look at the highlight. But this is a time where they get the ball in their best player's hands. He drives to the basket. He's triple-teamed. He makes the right play. They missed the shot. They shot it at the right time, and then Lesman just,
It was a good look.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the play.
The ground, we're all square with 17 seconds to play. They're going to hold for 1.
1-4 flat. Everybody stay down.
Yep.
Bryce, this
10
is where
seconds.
you want the ball.
9, 8, don't shoot too early. Don't shoot too
Getting
early.
Inside, kicks it out. Jewett from the corner. Comes up short.
We got double overtime.
Lesman from half court.
Oh!
No!
The game is over.
Nothing but net.
And he got 35.
Oh, my God. Did
35.
And not to take anything away from what Fenwick did in those final few minutes, but they tried to lose that game. They were up 8 with a minute to play. They missed some free throws. They turned it over in the full court to the Fenwick defense, and it was wide open shots from Geezer.
Yeah, and even on that last possession, Jewett could never say that was a bad shot, but he had Geezer one more pass. And as a coach, all I could talk about to kids at the end is at the end of games, end of quarters, you always have time, always make the extra pass. And if he would have made the extra pass, who knows if Geezer would have made that shot or not. I thought Daniel Jewett made the right call to shoot it in, shot it with confidence. And then last night, again, Fenwick's up 2 points at the end of the regulation. Brother Rice comes down with a second left, hits a shot from the corner to beat him. So Fenwick's just been snake bit on that last second shot. And but they got a good team, and we're looking forward to getting them. I think next week we got them against DePaul Prep.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Kleinschmidt's team. What are they ranked now, Joe? They got to be a top 5 team.
Yeah, you're good so impressive in that win against St. Ignatius when we did that game.
Yeah.
And going back to that shot though, it brought back memories of a shot Blake Peters hit 3 years ago against Maine South. The full court 80-footer, the 80-foot shot by Blake Peters to beat Maine South. That was a play that made it ESPN, went to the ESPYs. A little bit even, tougher. I mean,
hey, and you know what? As good as the shot was, I thought the call was just as good. I think there was a guy yelling, "Hey, we're going to double overtime." We're going to double overtime. Let's strap it up for double overtime. And then when he hits the shot, Ronnie, 35. Man, I thought he was at the crap table and he just made an 8 to win a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it was great. We missed you, Joe, but having Ronnie here last week was great. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the first half. There was, two guys. Blake Peters had 16 on 4 threes, and Nick Martinelli had 15. Probably the big thing, Connor Nord didn't score last night, put up big numbers. They're holding him in check.
Yeah, you're talking about a guy who scored 18 last night. He's averaging 17, 18 a game, and he's scoreless. So they're going to have to get him involved, get him some shots. At this point, maybe run a set or two to kind of get him a shot, open court or open look.
And I'll tell you, Olaja Boye, who we still need to give a nickname, he was impressive in the first half. He gave him some offense there. He just got a steal.
Now, Peters has his layup attempt blocked. Tries to get it back. Ball's fought for and picked up by Martinelli. Nick Martinelli will pull it up and wait for the numbers to increase. It's a 13-point lead coming out of the break for Evanston, and that was after Glenbrook South got out to a 6-0 run to start the game. Martinelli inside finishes with the left hand.
So sneaky in there. Peters back guarding him. He went to the post and did what he's supposed to do there. Evanston did not get off the blocks quick in the first part of this game. They need a better start than they had at the beginning of the game. Glenbrook South's not going to die easy.
If they have a start to this half that's any better than what they had at the beginning of the game, they're going to run away with this one really quickly. Peters from downtown.
Wow.
What else did you expect?
Bottoms for Peters.
Now 5 for 6, I believe, from three-point range.
Hey, we have our no fans in the stands. We got a trivia question today, Tommy, don't we? We've got a trivia question. Blake Peters getting a chance to be the all-time leading scorer in the history of the proud Evanston basketball tradition. Do we have a trivia question, Tom? Can we reel that up?
While you pull it up, that was
No, we don't have
Martinelli
it.
getting the ball.
We don't have it.
Away.
Maybe you don't want Dot Productions live streaming your
Oh,
bar
no.
mitzvah. Oh, we're going to have it in the future?
That's not his fault.
Oh, come on.
Well, Rick was limiting on Blake Peters' production being down this year.
Yeah. Well, he's making it all up right now, Joe.
Yeah,
I'm a fan.
14 points per game for Peters last season. He made 114 threes, shot 45%. That was his sophomore year. Added 91 in his junior season, but keep in mind that one was cut short.
One thing, you look at, when you get the roster from Evanston, they show all the middle schools that these kids went to. Chute, Middle Haven, Lincoln. But most of these kids from Glenbrook South went to Atia. And Atia, their coach, their 8th grade coach, was an old coach of a guy that coached with me, Bruce Leinbach. And Bruce has coached all these kids, and he's been coaching over there forever. I think he's ready to set a middle school record for, the wins. So I know how glad and how impressed Bruce has been just watching these kids. When he gets them in 8th grade, get a chance to watch them grow up.
Speaking of 8th grade, how about some of the 8th graders that have been at Evanston and have left?
Oh, well, don't even start. Don't even start there.
Patrick Baldwin Jr.,
yeah.
Anthony Sales, Ahmad Bynum up in Simeon.
Yep.
And then obviously the guy that made the shot last week, Louis Lesman.
Well, he was in France in 8th grade.
Correct.
He was in
Started
France.
his career at Evanston. So Evanston has just been just flooded with talent over the years.
Well, and the one thing you love about Evanston is it's their guys. It's their, you look on their bench. It's the old players that are helping Coach Ellis. It's the old players that are coaching their feeder program. There's so much pride in that town, and they take in their basketball.
Well, they can't. Mike Ellis came here about a decade ago. They set a single season school record with 32 wins 2 years ago.
That one was started by the dribble penetration from Elijah Bull, and great ball movement from Evanston resulted in a 3 from the corner. It's now a 20-point lead for the Wildcats.
That is Evanston basketball right there. They didn't get that at all last night. And if they did get it, they didn't connect on the jump shot. It's a 20-point game.
And what does that say about the mental toughness of this team? We've talked a lot about playing both of these games within a span of 24 hours as Martinelli goes to the rack. And
does he ever miss?
It doesn't feel like it.
Does the kid ever miss? He's got unbelievable touch.
59% was this team from the field last night. But as I was saying, the mental toughness from Evanston to get beat like that at home and then come on the road and really just show up like they have so far this afternoon.
You just don't beat Evanston twice in the same 24-hour span.
I mean, they were scoreless for 4 minutes, you guys, and they have put in 43 points in 15 minutes.
And we're still 4:30 till the start of the fourth quarter, 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
I mean, that's 43 points in 15 minutes.
And here's Peters trying to add a few more. That one was about as close as you can get without making the shot. And now Martinelli gives it up for Lazinski.
Great
Rosenberg
pass.
with a great extra pass from one block to the other, and it's Lazinski who cashes in. 43-27, 4 minutes to play in the third.
Well, they need a run like this because you don't want to be down double digits going the fourth quarter against Evanston because they'll spread you out, hold the ball, and drive, and there's not many teams that can contain their quickness.
Well, Glenbrook South does not want to get into a situation where they're going to have to really, really extend because that's just going to recipe for disaster.
Cooper Nord came away with the loose ball. Up ahead to Lazinski, had it blocked against the glass.
I don't know about that. What do you think about that, Joe?
Clean to me.
Looked up on the way up, but nonetheless, that's a quick 6-0 run that was badly needed by Glenbrook South.
And we needed it to get close, too, because otherwise we're going to just start telling stories. Well, we're going to just start telling old stories.
There's nothing wrong with that. We remind you, though, at this break halfway through the third quarter to tweet your questions to @NoFansTV.
Do we get questions? Account. We got any questions coming in?
Let's take a look.
Do you want to? I got a great question for you. When Mike Ellis got the job at Evanston, who applied for that job and didn't get it? Do you know the answer to that, Joe?
Can I answer honestly?
Do you know who got? You know the answer to that?
Let's see.
That could be our trivia question.
Former head coach at North Shore, New Trier.
Oh, God.
I think it was Coach Malnati.
Still stings, Joe. When you apply for something you don't get, it still stinks. But humility is key to life. Little humble pie.
And Mike's done an unbelievable job. He really has. I mean,
I would have hired Mike. Come on, I would have hired Mike.
He took Peoria Richwoods to 2 state runner-up finishes. His team lost to Derrick Rose and the Simeon team. But, I mean, Rick, in the last 4 years,
go ahead,
Evanston has averaged 29 wins a year for the last 4 years. That is a –
Are they playing 40, 50 games?
115 and 18, and
wow.
And he hasn't, he has beefed up the schedule.
Yeah,
they've traveled out of state.
Yeah, that's for sure.
The program has just kind of just gone to a new level under Mike Ellis over the past decade.
He could get it done down in Peoria. He was one of my favorite coaches in Peoria, and he's one of my favorite coaches in Chicago. I love Mike Ellis.
Well, he's got 4 state trophies. He's got 3 state runner-up finishes. And a third-place finish, I think. So,
well, maybe he needs a Chipotle Clash of Champion trophy to put in that. He doesn't have one of those.
Do we have a trophy for that yet?
Oh, it's a big trophy. Are you kidding me? It's going to have guac in it.
Nice little tip on the follow. Right there, that was Rashawn Bost.
Yeah, Bost. All 5'10" of them getting up and tapping that thing in. And that's the one thing the Evanston guards have always done is they've always rebounded the basketball. That's why Mike's been able to play smaller. They all rebound the ball. They got to get Nord a basket. But, Martinelli, I can't believe he missed that.
Look at Peters, though, competing.
He's unbelievable.
2 minutes and 3/4 to play in the third quarter.
I don't think Brown wants to attack Peters. I think he's going to go right around him.
He just gave him the right hand right there. Peters took it inside, kicked it out.
Well, this is where Evanston will just spread him out, wait for him to make a mistake.
Run some clock with that 16-point lead.
Shot clock, Joe. Where's that shot clock,
I
Joe?
want it. We'd be down about 3 seconds right now.
And a timeout call by Ellis and the Evanston bench. It'll be a 30-second timeout, and we'll stay with you here on No Fans in the Stands TV.
Okay, this is a question, Joe. You got to ponder here. We're not getting any questions from fans. I'm going to ask you a question. The IHSA, with the condensed schedule, is starting football Wednesday. So there's a lot of guys, you know, on both teams here and across the state. Some of the better teams have guys that play football. So it's kind of like up to the kids if they want to play football and stop playing basketball. If they do both, now you run the risk if somebody's infected on the football team, then you got to shut down football and. So how about, I know there's like a 2-week moratorium or something where you got to practice for a couple weeks before you can actually play, which makes sense. But if you're playing basketball, in football, you're going to be outside right now anyway. You're going to be conditioning. You're conditioning. So how about giving them a waiver so you don't put kids in a trick bag where they got to make a decision, make a choice, where they got to choose one or the other or do both and potentially put everybody at risk. How about saying, hey, you only need the week after the basketball season's over to get ready for football if you played another sport? Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense, but all rules need to be applied in a little different way
this year.
This year. And you're not holding it accountable for future years. It's just,
right,
it is what it is.
And then it just makes sense. These guys are in shape. You get tell me these kids at Glenbrook South or at Evanston aren't in shape playing basketball. They're in better shape playing basketball. Nothing against football, but football's short bursts. This is, 32 minutes, one extra pass. But
there it was. There's the man. Peters in the corner, came up empty.
You give a shooter a great pass, he makes that. You give a shooter a pass outside his hands.
And he threw it right back, and Peters gets an easy bucket. And that's Evanston. We've talked about it. Their best offense is their defense, and it's been the points in transition that have really done the Titans in so far. So we'll take another break with 1 minute and 30 seconds to play in the third quarter.
We're taking a break?
Nah.
We got a commercial?
The 30 seconds.
I meant a break in the action.
Break in the action.
No, 30-second timeout. I can't handle that.
Well, let's talk about something then.
No, I got a question.
Go ahead.
As a coach, would you rather in a COVID season with no postseason at all, other than the Chipotle Classic, would you rather have a chance and go 17-2 and win the Chipotle Classic, or have a 6-23 season but have a shot at a real regional championship?
Well, if the Chipotle championship wasn't as grand as it is, I'd probably say regional, because my memories have everything to do with the state tournament, not so much to do with the regular season.
Right.
So I
just meant if you're 6-23 playing for a regional championship.
No, not playing. You said winning. Playing for a regional, forget about it. I don't care about that.
Winning a regional. Yeah.
Winning a regional is fun. But winning the Chipotle thing, how often are you going to get a trophy full of guac, Joe? Come on. Look at this. Blake Peters show.
Wow.
And one.
What a performance by Blake Peters.
You think last night when he went home he wasn't thinking about this game? Like, can I get another shot? You talk about, can I get another shot at them after a loss? And then not only to get another shot, you get another shot 12 hours later.
Yeah.
And he's making the most of it. And he was tough last night. I mean, he still scored 24 points, even though he was 0 of 6, 0 of 7 from 3. He just competes. He scores. He's not a shooter, Joe. He's a scorer.
They're going to get Ashaboye for a travel right there after he came down with the rebound. With 1:20 to play in the third quarter. It's still a 20-point lead for Evanston. Martinelli trying to change that below the basket. He can't. Nord with a tip. Nord with another tip. Martinelli gets it back, and here comes Evanston.
I'll tell you what. You want a picture that speaks 1,000 words, Joe? cut that right there, show that 10 seconds, and that's been the kind of day it's been for Glenbrook South. They had 5-6 chances right around the rim. Nothing went in. It's not a lack of effort.
Nope. That it's not. So the inbound goes to Rosenberger.
He can shoot it from there, and he has not gotten off a clean look. Evanston's done a great job on him. That'll go in. Are you kidding me? How do you perfect that shot?
Yeah, touch on the floater, just another part of his game that he's kind of shown tonight, the versatility again of what he's capable of on the offensive end.
Looks like GBS at a little 1-3-1 with a lot of length on the top.
That's Hemphill from the far corner. Off the back of the rim.
Big 35 seconds here to end the quarter. Again.
And that one's picked off again by Blake Peters. This time
Pulling
he pulls up. That one won't go. The follow from Bull is good. 20 seconds to play in the third. Still a 20-point lead for Mike Ellis' squad. Now down to 10 seconds. Nord with the basketball. Three seconds, 2 seconds. Nord gets a shot off, and that comes up short.
He is so frustrated. He is so frustrated. He's got to keep his composure.
Yes, he does. That entire Glenbrook South team needs to keep their composure as we head to the fourth quarter. It's a 20-point ball game.
Who had the 20-point deficit in the pool?
Especially not after last night.
I mean, I did not expect this game to get out of hand at all.
I think if we had Ronnie Fields here, it'd be a close game.
Probably
We bring Joe, it becomes blowouts. Okay, Joe, what do we got to look forward to? What are we looking forward to?
Well,
Let's talk. Pick your winner, okay?
I mean,
Chipotle. The Chipotle Classic.
Oh, I'm not picking winner. We
not picking
we
yet?
haven't gotten to the heart of that public league yet. You know, I'm anxious to see.
Simeon with a tough game, first game against a Curie team, which is always good.
We got Simeon and Kenwood coming up in a key public league battle.
We were trying to do that on film, but we couldn't get it because of the can't get in. They're just not allowing people in. That would have been a great one.
But we've got these 8 teams that we've talked about pretty extensively. It's just around the corner. I mean, we're only 2 weeks away, and is there a favorite? Yeah, I mean, right now I think it probably is one of those public league teams, Young and Simeon. I mean, Young just throttled Homewood Flossmoor. I saw Homewood Flossmoor play Tuesday night against Bolingbrook, and they took care of Bolingbrook on the road. HF's young but talented, proud program, well coached by Mark Condotti, and Young just drilled them. So Young and Simeon right now I think are on paper the 2 teams to beat.
You sound like Mike O'Brien now, just a public league guy that just always it's always about the public league. You don't think these other teams can play against them?
DePaul, give him a shot. I know you really like.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we've only gotten a little glimpse of these public league teams, and they have not played the schedule yet that we're going to get a better read on them. But yeah, I mean, DePaul Prep defensively with their guard play, there's no question. I mean, I really believe those 8 teams. I do think there's a separation. Not that anyone can't beat anybody on a given night, but after your top 5, 6, I think then, there's a little bit drop. But I just think it's going to be a heck of a quarterfinal round when we have those games in 2 weeks.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. I think, stacking those games kind of like the old state tournament will be fun.
That was excellent hustle right there from R.J. Davis. Getting a steal.
That's his third
for Glenbrook South, and another 3 from Martinelli right there. Davis looks to be okay after he drew a foul. Appeared to get poked in the eye on that last possession, but trying to keep Glenbrook South breathing in this matchup here as the clock is winding.
Timeout. Chris Head was sitting in his lap right there. Easy for coach to get that timeout. He saved Ajaboye a chance of turning it over in that double team.
This Evanston team, though, they just kind of cycle through players, but you got the same type of team, and they come at you. defensively pressure you, get you to speed things up. And they've been, even when No-Gel Eastern was here, who was a star, one of the top players in the state of Illinois, it's always been pretty balanced and multiple guys. And I just think that, that lends itself to, both now and in the future of your program as you develop. You can continue to see that, and that development over this time. I just think the Evanston program has done it the right way. They bought in. And you just see it year after year with a different group. He plugs in new guys, and now, we've had your mainstays here. Obviously, No-Gel was a 4-year guy, and Blake Peters here has been a 4-year guy. But
Isaiah Holden's been a 4-year guy.
Yeah, but they're complementary pieces over the years. They just kind of stepped into these roles and filled them.
Well,
pretty effortlessly.
Not only do they not lose much on the varsity level, they don't lose much on the sophomore or the freshman level either.
And as you mentioned, you lost Jalen Gibson, he would have been a 4-year guy.
Yep.
Impactful guy as a freshman all the way through his junior year. And he took off and was a valuable piece of this team.
And with so many 4-year guys, it makes you feel as if this team every year is both young and experienced. That's Martinelli.
I don't know. Peters' rebounder numbers he's got 6-7 rebounds.
He just ran over Martinelli, and that's going to be an offensive foul. No question about that one.
Yeah, you don't see Martinelli turn to that right shoulder or to his left shoulder too often. He usually goes to his right shoulder. That's post up. Surprise Blake by going the other way. I've been really impressed with Martinelli. Is this the first time you've seen him this year?
I watched one of their games on stream. This is the first live game this year.
That's another rebound.
He might just can't buy a bucket.
He might not only be the leading scorer in the history of Evanston after this game, he might be the leading rebounder in the history of Evanston.
There he is from 3, and that's the bottom of the net. That's like the 3rd time he's flipped the net over the top of the rim.
Head fake, pump fake, get some space for himself.
Yeah,
easy it does it.
The 0 for 6 yesterday.
I think he's 0 for 7.
0 for 7.
Yeah.
We should stop mentioning that number. I think he's just going to keep hitting shots every time he hears it.
Not a normal day.
Martinelli tries to go to the hoop, had his shot blocked.
There's no quit. No quit Martinelli. Okay, I've known the Martinellis forever. The older brother, Jimmy, was my son Tino's age. They started playing together in 5th grade. Jimmy's over at our house in 5th grade, and like normal at the Malnati house, we're eating anything that's available. We're throwing, eating pizza, and Jimmy wouldn't eat a lot of stuff. And he always carried this bottle of water around. I'm like, Jimmy, what is it? He says, well, I'm not allowed to eat certain things, since a young kid. His grandmother is Bonnie Minsky, who is like a renowned nutritionalist. She kind of, and every one of these kids has grown. I'm thinking if she was my kids' grandmothers, my kids might be 6'8" too.
That one just too easy right there. Bosch,
I got to talk to my mom. She let me eat anything when I was a kid. I should have been drinking that special water. I got to find out what water because Jimmy was probably 6'4", Dom's probably 6'5", and now Nick's probably 6'7".
So there it is, the first bucket of the game for Cooper Nord. Around and down it goes. The other way, ball's tipped. The Glenbrook players think it's going their direction. The officials will confer.
There's a lot of arms pointing. If we had replay, we could tell them, Tommy. Tommy's spinning the dials. If Dot Production had a little replay capability, we'd be able to go back and look at that and just give them a little hint on which way that ball is going to go. A lot of length on the top of the 1-3-1 with Martinelli there.
And a travel. That one looked like it was called on Peters. He can't believe it. But the 1-3-1 right there, forcing a turnover, and yet another break in the action. Had a lot of time to talk, and for a team that likes to play as fast as Evanston does, a lot of timeouts being called. So inside 5 minutes to play.
Let's see if our producer can put something up on the screen. See if he can pop something up we can talk about.
There you go.
the remaining schedule. DePaul College Prep at Fenwick. We've
Big
seen
Catholic,
Fenwick.
big battle, boy.
We've seen DePaul. DePaul, tough on the guard spot. Fenwick, young with a lot of juniors playing. And then Bryce Hopkins going to Kentucky.
Yeah, I think DePaul with that defensive pressure that they can put on you, I think it's been a little bit more consistent defensively than Fenwick at this point, and is really the difference. But that backcourt, they got a star. T.Y. Johnson he's a bona fide All-Stater. He has been the catalyst for a team that in a normal year, we're talking two favorites right now for Class 3A state championship, Notre Dame and DePaul. And again, in a normal year, they would have been the two teams front and center in Class 3A.
Well, that's not giving Fenwick a lot of love there, Joe. I mean, they got a kid going to Kentucky. You got to better have an elephant gun to shoot him and kill him in his last game of his career.
Yeah, I just love what DePaul brings on both ends of the floor.
And how about my guy Don Houston down the south suburbs?
Yeah, watched Hillcrest Thursday night. They played Oak Forest. They really took care of Oak Forest. Good group down at Hillcrest.
What's their point guard going to do? He's a high-level Division I football player. Does he go to football? Does he stay with basketball? Does he do
Hillcrest?
both?
The Hillcrest guard is headed to Minnesota, play PJ Fleck football.
That was high-level Princeton-esque right there. It wasn't his ball. He went to take it out, and it was Glenbrook South's ball. He almost got away with it. Got to like that. Not only has he got a 36 on his ACT, he knows how to get a ball out of bounds. My kind of guy. Speaking of ACTs, Joe, what do you think?
I had a 36.
What do you think? What do you think the young Bob Costas had on his?
35, one less than mine.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know you're not kidding. I shouldn't laugh.
What did you have to get into Northwestern's broadcasting? What was your? Come on, what'd you have?
You want me to share this?
I want you to know.
Well,
if it was high, listen. If it was bad, I don't want to hear about it.
Put the over under for the fans.
I wasn't going to tell
30,
you.
Yeah,
30,
before you say it.
We'll put it 33.5.
I think 33.
See, Tina was playing basketball there, and I wasn't going to tell people live that you were the one who got me into school.
I wish I got you. I wish I had that kind of pull.
I think it's 33.5, and I'm going to take the over.
His mom's really smart, so I'm thinking it was probably 33. His dad, I don't know, probably dragged him down a couple points.
Isaiah Holden going all the way inside. Changing the subject,
this.
I go, and off the glass goes Holden.
Itchy Holden to the hoop.
Itchy, where'd you get that one?
That's his nickname.
But that's a little bit higher level quickness, speed right there with the ball.
Well, and then he brings it back in his right hand. That's got to drop. That's
There
got to
it is.
go.
Cooper
Come
Noor
on,
gets
Cooper.
one to go. But it just looks like too little too late for Glenbrook South. 58-42 with under 4 minutes to play.
Did they have to take an ACT back in the 70s?
Yeah, I took it, Joe. I took it. It wasn't probably my proudest moment. I think I was like,
You just called Bradley the Ivy of the Midwest.
Yeah, well. Bradley was a high-level educational institution.
It still is.
It still
Say
is.
was.
I'm just saying. I probably
Well, he
brought.
left.
I probably brought down the average with the test scores. But I did play basketball, so I did earn my keep down there for the great Joe Stoll and Dick Versace, another old Gordon Tech guy, as you were talking about DePaul Prep, Dick Versace.
What do you think about Peoria losing the
Well,
state
I think
final?
it was time. It was a great move to go to Peoria. It needed to move. Peoria did a great job, and now it needs a fresh go. The whole state tournament needs a fresh go. I mean, again, we talked about this the other day about the father-son kind of, take your kids to
Right.
that. It was a great thing. And, we got to market it somehow. We got to market it. Hopefully the Chipotle Clash of Champions can market,
Well, it's one of the downsides of COVID in relation to high school basketball. Yes, it wiped out last year's state tournament finals and this year's state tournament, but also the move to Champaign, and the
would have been back to
it
Champaign.
would have been back in Champaign. They would have had that, and it just has not come to fruition. And we're gonna have to wait a whole another year. Hopefully in 2022, we can open that State Farm Center up for high school basketball fans.
Peters looking for somewhere to go out of bounds, and a little give and go right there. Peters to the rack.
High level IQ.
Yep.
Noticing how he was being guarded out of bounds. That for sure was not a set play. He just read his defender hard to the basket, and he probably might be closing in on 30 points, Joe.
Yeah,
It's now
16 at halftime.
His point, he might have as many points as Nick scored on his ACT pretty soon. He bypassed me in the first quarter. Okay, 3 minutes to go.
Peters with a dangerous pass right there. Holden with a Euro step through the lane. And Nord is frustrated.
He is frustrated. He's a competitor.
He is, no doubt about it. Went home happy last night after a big win over this Evanston team, but can't say enough about,
that's
about
the thing.
Wildcats coming back.
If you're going to win one
like
out of two, you want to win on Friday or you want to win on Saturday?
You want to win the one you remember.
Yeah,
you want to win the second one.
I think you want to win the one that Nick Magus announces. You know, young Bob Costas, you're going to keep this forever. When he's like doing the NBA Finals or the Masters, you know, like that 20 years from now, say, hey, that guy did my game. He did my game. He had 33 on his ACT, and he did my game.
33, is that your final guess?
I think maybe over.
I'm going 34.
33 and a half. You like the hook, Joe.
Yeah.
Is there a teaser line on that number?
Tease the ACT.
Oh, my God.
That'll go in.
Martinelli with a shot fake in a bucket.
Are you kidding me? When he misses a shot, you're surprised.
Well, he's just so crafty, too.
Yeah.
You mentioned Martinelli's making free throws. You can throw some craftiness as a prerequisite as well, because they just know how to operate, maneuver around the basket. You know, they're not overly athletic, but with that craftiness and his touch around the rim, he's just very effective.
Hey, we're going to have a little commercial break right here from Lou Malnati's. When you're thinking about I can go Lou. I'm a little vegetarian when it comes to pizza. I don't eat a lot of meat on my pizza, but
really,
I'm not a meat guy. Little butter crust. That butter crust that has a couple different cheeses on it.
Underrated salads.
Oh, the salads are
underrated.
Ridiculous. How about the wings, Joe? That's the most underrated. That's a guy that gets our wings are getting Division III looks, and they should be Division I. That's a high major Division I that's getting underlooked, and we're at Division III level. Nobody's given us any
Do you know
publicity.
It took me 20 years to eat a Malnati's thin crust?
Well, because you live out in the freaking
No,
sticks.
I'm just telling you, thin crust I had never tried until recently.
Oh,
Can we take a minute on the pizza toppings? Not a lot of meat on your pizza. And let's, for our audience out there, the pizza toppings, whatever's best on your pizza has been debated for generations and generations. But this is Pizza God right here, telling you what's supposed to go on.
I'm not agreeing with that. How do you not put meat on there?
If I do meat, it's easy. And, order it how you like it. Order exactly how you like
That's
it.
a good answer right there.
I got a feeling they're going to end this possession with a layup.
Oh, that was a chase down block, but right there it was Justin Lazinski just ripping right over the right shoulder of Isaiah Holden, and for the second time in as many minutes, Holden will go to the free throw line.
Okay, when do you wave the white flag, Joe, and put your subs in?
Right now.
16 points, 2 minutes to go.
Right now. Short season. You're going to go up by 18 right here.
Who does it first, the team that's ahead or the team that's behind?
Team that's ahead.
I agree.
I hate when the losing team has to force the winning team's hand by.
Yeah. You got to have faith in the kids that practice every day.
And practice every day against the team that just got you a 18-point lead.
That's good to see, too.
Yep, Nord
playing it till the end.
Right
he
there.
did finish strong, as you kind of hoped he would.
Yep.
Scoreless that first half. He's got probably close to double digits right now.
They still got a chance. They've beaten New Trier once already. Evanston hasn't played New Trier yet, so they still have a chance with go 9-1 and share the conference championship with Evanston.
Glenbrook South is going to need a 2-game sweep from the Trevians.
And that'll be hard to do on back-to-back. Such a great rivalry.
The 8th team foul on Glenbrook right there. That's Bost coming to the bench. One more time, in comes Deshaun Hemphill.
Boss made some big plays.
But the bench mob remains seated for now for the Wildcats. A minute and a half to play till the end of this ball game.
You know, the one thing you noticed with COVID is the size of the teams this year. I think a lot of coaches did not make cuts.
Cut more guys?
I think so, just because from an emotional standpoint, are you going to cut a senior in the middle of COVID? Like, you know, like, it'd be hard. I'd hate to be a coach this year.
Also, you don't want to cut a senior, but, you know, you also have programs that are getting ripped by COVID in the middle of a season. Sometimes you have 6, 7 guys that need to sit
Well,
at
they
the
all
same
go
time.
down. I mean, once one guy goes down, the whole team goes down.
Think about what happened against for DePaul. Kleinschmidt had, I think, 6 guys when we called that game that were out. There's Nord getting another bucket. He has 11 now.
Okay, let's call a timeout.
But
Let's get other guys in the game.
With Kleinschmidt, he had so many guys out, and if it weren't for a bigger team, there's a chance he wouldn't be able to play that game. Holden still slashing inside. Came up empty there. Rebound fought for by the Titans, and they're awarded the basketball after a frustration foul by Holden.
I think the best feeling in basketball is when you win a big game and there's a big crowd at home and they take you out, you know, to the ovation of the fans, and that's gone this year. I mean, they take them out to the ovation of no fans TV, no fans in the stands TV. We're the only ones cheering besides the parents. And the parents haven't had a lot to cheer about because it's only Glenbrook South parents over on the other side.
Glenbrook South fouling now, trying to get the.
Okay, Joe, what kind of games this week? What are you looking at this week? Who are you going to watch? Give me a guy that nobody knows about.
There are, do you know, you said it's hard to be a coach.
Yeah.
It's hard to organize yourself right now with scheduling of where you're going. You think I've got my week planned, Rick?
I just know how organized you are.
I know. I mean, I really do want to get to the Simeon Kenwood game. I believe that's this week. If I'm not mistaken, Thursday. J.J. Taylor.
Wow, he's blowing up. I'm putting up huge
sophomore,
numbers.
averaging 30+. #1 sophomore in the state of Illinois at Kenwood. 6'7", do-it-all, top 25 player in the country. Hasn't really been seen much because he played very little at Morgan Park as a freshman. And then, of course, Kenwood just getting their season started in the public league.
Were you surprised when the public league decided not to do a city championship at the end of the year? Because there was word that was going to happen.
Yeah, I thought there'd be some modified version. I definitely was hoping for a Red West North champion versus a Red South Central champion. And there is talk that possibility of maybe a young Simeon matchup if it does not materialize.
Oh, in the
Chipotle class, yeah.
Ethan Kai coming up to the basketball right there and off the bench. That one gets poked away by Martinelli, I believe.
Maybe I'm thinking maybe the tiebreaker to go to the Chipotle thing might be points or something. That's why these guys are not putting in subs. Maybe there's how they decided in the Central Suburban League who was going to go if they're tied.
Well,
maybe it was head-to-head.
I wish we would know that right going in because this could be a really fun final minute of the game.
Yeah, I mean, last night was what, 6 points, 7 points?
6 points last night.
And tonight, 16?
Evanston's up 10.
Yeah, but maybe that was the reason.
Point differential.
Martinelli won't miss that.
Nope, he gets a bucket there, but the final buzzer will sound. 68-54 is the final score here from Glenbrook South We thank you for joining us here in the Titan Dome. Final thoughts from you.
Yeah, what are your thoughts? What are your takeaways, Joe?
Blake Peters show.
Blake Peters did put on a show.
The guy who really no moment has been too big for him in his high school career. He's just a veteran who's played in so many big games. This was a big game. In this shortened, modified season, this was the game for Evanston, and getting a conference championship, getting that bid, trying to get into that Chipotle class of champions, and the star, the senior, the veteran showed up. I don't know what his final point total. I got to be 28, 27, 30 points.
A little bit below Nick's ACT.
But it's what he did in that first half. He set the tone. You could just see it when that first three dropped. You could just kind of see that momentum. You could see a little sigh, and they took off really from that moment because they were scoreless. And for the first 4 minutes of that game, and you could see just kind of everything changing there as Blake Peters got hot.
Okay, another just takeaway. In a normal season, does Evanston lose at Evanston and Glenbrook South lose at home? The home team, the home court advantage doesn't seem like it's much right now.
Well, I did my weekend forecast in the Sun-Times and my preview of the weekend, and I expected a split of these two games.
Yeah, you got it.
Well, I just reversed the games. I
hope you didn't bet them, Joe.
I thought Evanston would win, or I thought Evanston would take care of business last night at home. I thought Glenbrook South would come back and win a close one here on the next day. But I just think the Glenbrook South team next year.
Oh my God!
I mean, with these two guys as the catalyst, Cooper Nord and Nick Martinelli both returning, and then those pieces, some of them, you got a sophomore in Davis. You got
another sophomore in Dahia that didn't play because of a knee injury that they were expecting to start.
So you can kind of see, not that this doesn't. I mean, they had a shot to win this conference title. They have a shot to win this conference championship, but the underrated thing I've heard from some high school coaches about this season has been the look ahead. They don't come out and publicly say this doesn't matter, this season, but they are kind of getting ready for next year with some of these younger players. Yes, it's important to get these seniors some games and get them to play, but there's a number of teams who are really starting to already kind of lock into next year without a postseason. Some of these teams can afford to do that a little bit.
Well, I would say that if I was predicting the games, I would say whoever won yesterday wasn't going to win today. I mean, when you just talk about these two teams, a lot of pride, a lot of talent. So when you called a split, I agree, and I would have just said, hey, whoever wins Friday night, not going to win Saturday. And that's kind of how it turned out. I did not expect it to be this lopsided.
Not at all. I mean, I thought Evanston, like you said, I had picked Glenbrook South to win this game, but after what transpired last night, I fully expected Evanston to come back and win today. I did not anticipate, though, a game where we'd see 20-point difference.
Well, Evanston surely turned it up a notch from last night. So let's look ahead. We got Friday night, DePaul College Prep at Fenwick. That game could determine the winner of the Catholic League. It's going to be a high-level game. And then we go Friday the 12th. We go to the quarterfinals. The site yet to be determined, but that's going to be 4 games.
Are we doing all 4 games?
We're doing all 4 games. Stacked up. You better miss class at Northwestern. Call your teachers right now. Tell them you're not showing up. Hopefully that 35 ACT is going to pay off, and we're going.
It keeps going up 1 point about every 10 minutes.
If we stay on the call.
We'll be at 37.
Yeah, I was going to say.
If we
stay here longer than 2 more minutes, it's going to be in the stratosphere.
Back-to-back games, and those games will be on this network, No Fans in the Stands TV. And then on Saturday for the championship game, we know those are going to be at Niles, Notre Dame. Those games are going to be at 11 and 1, and then the finals at 7 o'clock. Those will be on ESPN 3 with Dave Kaplan and Jonathan Hood doing the announcing, and they got all 3 games. So after Friday night, we're gonna hang up our whistles, Joe. We're gonna hang up our whistles. We're gonna be done.
It's too bad we weren't able to get some of those public league games.
Yeah.
I know we tried. It's too bad because there's a lot of people that would love to see those teams play.
Well, and hopefully they get to see them play Friday. They'll watch them play Friday, and hopefully we got some great matchups. So
it's funny. I look at the screen, Rick. I see quarterfinals, and I see the date, March 12th.
Yep.
All I can think of is state tournament.
Well, let's hope we give it. I mean, it would be, if you could pick 8 teams, and those were 8 teams down at the state tournament, it'd be a pretty good state tournament.
Correct. And no classes is what I like.
And no classes.
No,
we are
no
back to the one class system. Maybe if somebody gets COVID, we invite a team that has like 60 kids, and we can do like a Hoosiers event. The old Hebron team.
So Evanston Township comes into Glenbrook South, comes away with a big win. They improved to 9-1. Coming into this week as the number 2 team in the state. We expect them to move down just a little bit after that one loss. They hand number 9 Glenbrook South their first loss of the season. They fall to 10-1. And we will see one of those 2 teams as the 8th spot in the Chipotle Clash of Champions.
Well, they will. One of them will be in there unless New Trier pulls off a miracle and sweeps everything. We're looking forward to it. Glad to get you back, Joe. Nick, get back on the books. So for Nick Magus, the young Bob Costas, we got Joe Hendrickson, the guru of high school sports, and Rick Malnati, a guy who used to be able to make a pizza, with Tommy spinning the dials for Dot Productions. Mike Moy on the camera, and Tom Oliver, willing to do your birthday, live stream that birthday party called Dot Productions. We are signing off from Glenview.